Hello everyone, and what is going on? Hyperion-Blue-GT here. We're back and continue on in part 54 in the Crew 2 for the full walkthrough. Since the last video from part 53, after finishing from stage number 8 of the USB Tour East Edition and Harlem in the special along with 2 hypercar events, is now currently to be in Bronx and up north in the state of Maine before prior to be proceed in the Scary Salem for having 1 street race event. So it's time to get ready to go because 1 hypercar event to go on a long trip in places to places from the East Coast to the West Coast to have the route to route is now going at it is definitely to go for having a 1 part of the challenge. So it'll have to be on the WIP in session because I just got 1 part of the clip is now being yet to be spared before converted into a complete edition. So I'll have to leave it to myself, and this time going for having a long race to have exactly in about over 30 minutes is going to be a long difficult challenge. So I'll have to be preferred to go on normal difficulty as I'm about to go check and go highlight by the recommend as I have to go with the Bugatti Depot with the UDRS White Star to go for the long preparation to go clean racing and timing. So as Latrell says, pack some snacks because you're going coast to coast non-stop. This is a pure hypercar action, New York to Cali. It's as long as it gets, so get out there and let it rip. So I just already done this on normal difficulty, but yet just going to go currently to be on hard difficulty before save it on ace. So I'll have to leave this part and just going to have to be patiently as I'm about to be ready up and go on the way. Alright, let's get ready to go and have clean racing by 100%. So I just got the first position on the upper hand. Here I come and go for a long trip of racing. So this will be the most important challenge that you might need to be very careful because traffic cars are in the way. That's how this will be the most longest hypercar event of all time in the game, and that will have to take 1 daily motor stars is now being yet to earn. So I have to keep it up and stay faster by having a good amount of chance by the gap distance after a few months later until season 9 of Motorflix by the return of American Legends and Flashback is now being introduced on episode 2. So you might need to go faster, but don't get slowed down because of traffic cars are yet to be coming around on each part of the path. So I had to keep a good watchful eyes check to see if there would be some more traffic cars to go lighter or a bit heavier. Okay, still doing well. There's 1 bus coming in on the left, gonna take the right and go by the right turn on the T intersection. So this event is bearing the reference from EA's Need for Speed The Run is actually to be take place by the starting position from the West Coast and go all the way to the East Coast from start to finish. But in the Crew 2, this one is definitely the opposite as you're going to be racing on the East Coast by the starting position to go all the way to California to be located in San Francisco at the finish line. But did you notice about 1 player just actually took the most incredible lap time by the impossible by 22 minutes, 54.1 seconds is now being set by Dodger Bot. But 1 player just actually did an impressive job. Only in New York hypercar event that is actually to be a bit more impossible to go for having a high stakes and high achieved by the record. No player will be able to achieve this record, but that could be a bit more intense that this will have to take more shortcuts that you might need to get in and go faster whenever each kinds of hypercar vehicles by your pick. So stop at 7% progression on the checkpoint, still in the East Coast, and then arriving in the Coral State. Okay, 1 traffic car detected. Gonna have to go overtake and keep going by the route. Okay, gonna have to keep the traction under control, but I'm always being a strict driver when it comes to have clean racing on the open road. Is like differences on Forza Horizon. But eventually, still gonna have to keep a good concentration to choose any kinds of shortcuts to go by approach. So I'll have to take the street, choosing the left, and optionally that will be going much more safer to go for having an alternative route. Alright, looks like it's doing well. Gonna have to keep a good watchful eye on the side of the road. Now enter the town. Go by the roundabout, any position that you might need to be preferred. You want to go left or go right. That's very good. Now going quick shortcut to have a good increased advantage time. Okay, there's the bus sighted, oncoming to be passed. Okay, looks like I'm at 11% progression. Gonna keep going in about 0.90 seconds on the checkpoint. Gonna have to speed up for having enough time to be spared. And about a few more distance to go remaining to be leaving from the East Coast, and then you'll be entered to be heading on in to be at the Midwest. So very much more fine to be safe and going clear. Still at the Coral State. Just gonna have to get there onto the fields. 14% progression in 5 minutes since the race began. We're having a long journey. And there's the bridge that serves to be leaving from the East Coast, and welcome to the Midwest on the region in the United States of America. Good to be arrived in New Harlan. Naturally, you'll have to take the next turn to go over to have the left direction at the street. So the white star is now actually to have the main highlighted to go there. But it's about to get much more jumping and elevation, so gonna have to keep a good watchful eye on the traffic cars. Okay, no sign of traffic here. Doing well, and proceed. You'll have to take few practice if you really want to go faster by doing a non-stop action. And there's the Mountain States, just to have a good scenic view. Going around and stay on progress in the progression to stay at it on the clean time. Okay, looks like once exit in New Harlan, Roadside Giants is now going at it to have the good one-way ticket to be on the road and expanded to be on the avenue streets. But it'll have to take more several miles to get to the highway, but it'll have to get more extreme acceleration to kick it up by over 300 miles per hour. So full stretch and do any braking position whenever you get closer onto the next part of the turn layout. So now, the next destination, as I'm about to be racing forward to go proceed to be right past by in St. Louis, Missouri. But almost 1 mile to go remaining. No sign of heavy traffic because a few of them might be going a bit more lighter to be well cleared. And here's the Gateway Arch. Arrive and welcome to St. Louis, Missouri. Now's the time to go on braking, and there's the traffic guard is going on a U-turn. Close call, and the other one is going the wrong way. Okay, looks like there's the building passed by. This is where Into the Storm on race number 1 is about to begin on Pyord. So looks like still in Mother Road 66. Just gonna have to go up north, and it'll have to take there to have the next checkpoint after this one will be entered to go all the way to Chicago. The tour of Hypercar America is the best place to be here if you guys gonna have to challenge yourself to do some farming. Okay, gonna have to stay on top of it. 25% progression in the halfway mark to go at it to have 1 session down to be 3 more to go. Okay, there are some famous monument landmark when you're racing in Route 66. Better get your kicks on. Route 66 is the sign of the cultural reference in America to come around to have the most famous road. And there you might be passed by is a drag race that you guys might need to do it to be used on free mode events. But not to mention, because the race creator feature is now yet to be introduced to have this main part of the update by the continuation. But I bet I might have to try this out, because if you've already seen it on every part of the live summit video to go on Livestream on the set. Okay, that should do it to go proceed on the bridge. Now arriving in Dairyland. One boost here, and take a few miles to be arriving in Chicago. But here it is, you guys. There's one building right over there to be passed by. This is where you can enter on Chicago for having a quick detour. But there's no time to go explore around. The Hypercar race will be continuing on to have this part of the section to have one straight forward to be on the Avenue Street and have the 90-degree angle at the left turn in the next street. But right at the main time, 11 minutes since the race began is now currently on 31% at the progression. Such magnificent to go explore in the Midwest in America, you guys. But that'll have to take way much more awesome to explore nature, as we're about to be moving on in the Mountain States. So there's the satellite is now being located in Pikes Peak, Colorado. Okay, now arriving in Dakota Grassland to be located between the North and South Dakota. Okay, looks like the traction's still doing well on my Debo. Gonna have to keep going and stay all the way. But still yet to be sure part onto the Midwest and Mountain States in America between the North and South Dakota. Shared by region and differences on the environment because of the biomes is actually to have some forests, trees, and rocks. Definitely to have some mountains is now being seen around to have a good, wonderful environment. But still love nature, because it'll have to go cruise around and race around to be on the mountains, as we're about to take the next step to go on the highway. But first things first, let's take a stop by and cruise around in Black Hills. But don't forget, take the left turn and follow the line on each route that you might need to go climb up to have the right side of the road. But optionally, if anything else, that might need to have a perfect time to go spared for having clear traffic, so gonna have to keep a good watchful eye on traffic cars as usual during one event at a time. But this one is definitely might be having the next sign of the turn to go a bit more twisty to go around. Kinda admit, because every road and every route on America is actually to have each part of the route connection to go places to places on each cities, and environment depends on the most famous landmark like the Mount Rushmore. Okay, there's one Chevy Silverado, made it one Dodge, and another one to be passed by oncoming. So this one is where you can stop and take the highway to have the one-way ticket to go exit. But optionally, it'll have to be preferred to go by the opposite, that you might have to take the right side of the road or the wrong side of the road to have this main part of the route. So it's all clear. Now gonna hit the nitro to go all clear. So coming in and proceed to be entered to have the next area location in the Mountain States after leaving from the Midwest. Take the right side of the highway is going to be a bit more safer for hypercar discipline, you guys. Just going to keep a good practice, and you'll be arriving to be in the middle place to be on Yellowstone. The most finest location in the Mountain States right here in the US. So very magnificent and beautiful to see the mountains and the trees all together to be coming around on the environment. Well, I can still love to have some mountains to be on the snow. So good to enjoy. So how's the progression is doing well? 43%. Looks like I'm still in the lead. And how's the opponents are doing well? Looks like there's one has already took the highway, trying to catch up onto my current position to be last seen on the update. But it'll have to go exactly by over a minute on the gap. So one checkpoint, stopping at 45%. Still in Yellowstone, so gonna have to take the tunnel to go proceed to be coming out on the next location. Is gonna be exactly between around in each part of the state of the region. So here we are, arriving to have the very good best part of the scenic view. So welcome to Jackson Hole Valley. Unlike Yellowstone, this area is much more beautiful to be driving on the highway to have a good place to be here in the Mountain States. So there's gonna have to take the next route to go over onto the exit. Well, man, talk about having an oncoming traffic car to be seen by detection. But even yet, because you'll have to get much more bit careful to have this part of the route is going to become a one-way road. Okay, so gonna have to keep going and stay on the line of the route just to have the state of Montana before going around in Idaho, and then it'll have to take one stop destination to go moving up to be racing forward to be at the state of Utah before coming up onto Las Vegas as the serving of the landmark checkpoint. But coming around and do each part of the route to have some clean turns for the Bugatti Divo UDRS White Star variation to be at the Salt Lake Resort. But magnificent to have a good place to be stopping at the state of Utah before coming up to have some major defense to stay in the lead. So it's almost 18 minutes since the race began. No sign of incoming traffic cars on 2 lanes. So I had to keep a good eyes peeled ever since to have one minor check on the Midwest in Route 66. There's one. Gonna pass through clear and go over to be passed by in the ski resorts. Halfway there to go in a long way, you guys. Okay, next turn on the right. This could get much more longer out there to have the road, avenues, and highways to have the recipe of challenges to see hypercars to go all in action. Okay, there's the Dodge Charger SRT8 traffic car. Still yet to be in one piece. Okay, looks like in about a few more miles to go as I'm about to be arriving in Salt Lake City. So here it is. Just to be arrival to be leaving from Salt Lake City Resorts to be going over onto the downtown city. So if anything else, that might be more likely to choose any position to go around, and that will have to take that line to go over it before take the next turn on the left. But better watch yourself. More traffic cars are yet to be coming around on the highway that you might need to stay on the right side of the road. So it'll have to be more safer and just to be passed by over to have a great lake to be in Salt Lake to be seen around on the right. So stopping in at the Great Salt Lake to have a good place to be on the right view. Gonna have to keep going and stay focusing to be arriving on the next destination. We'll be at Las Vegas, Nevada. 20 minutes is now yet to be elapsed and still in the progression to go on progress by 58%. But it's about to get going hill climb and follow up on the route. And there's the elevated bridge to be passed by where the Dominion Forsberg racetrack is now yet to be located. That's how I have come here from Lab Summit event, and just yet to be proceed to be forward to be on future full walkthrough events. Huh. Sounds like it's about to get a bit more darker. The taillight's just going to keep a good sight of view. But a bit more quality, but a bit more foggy to be expected. Okay, still electrifying and go in glowing blue. I bet I just really might need to have a better brightness to see it for myself. Okay, looks like now in the Dead Valley. In about a few more miles to have a checkpoint is now being seen to be on the highlight. Here comes the exit. Gonna slow down and proceed on the right. Okay, a bit more better and piece of cake. Alright, so looks like it's going back to normal for a short time. Now gonna have to proceed on the right turn to have a good drag race strip to be on temporarily. But there's still yet to have some traffic cars to be coming around, so gonna take the strip and go over to have that part of the area on this location to be highlighted in Fremont Street. Okay, gonna have to slow down and get back on the road. Okay, status on the progression is at 66%. But yet, it may look like partly cloudy for today's weather forecast. I bet that could be happening to see this effect might be going a bit more darker and sharp enough to be reduced amount of light. Okay, gonna have to go back and check again to be at Death Valley for another part of the area's scenic location. Okay, so I'm doing well. No sign of contact ever since the depot is still yet to be on good condition. But I still really love Las Vegas, but I can't wait to go again for having another part of the next event. Okay, go boost by boost. Pace by pace and patiently. So you see, these old abandoned buildings around in Death Valley still exist to have some serve to be as a monument landmark. But you may see the sun is still yet to be coming around on the forward progression of the time because it's already been late afternoon since 24 minutes in in-game time. But very good time to go for having a best exploration around in the Mountain States. And this will have to take the next destination is going to becoming the most popular state in America. California in the West Coast. By this route, you'll have to go over to have the blue line to go proceed around in the Sierra Mountains. But talk about having a very good mention to have the Trial Mountain Circuit from Gran Turismo 7 is still very much more all-time favorite for a legendary Gran Turismo track. So stopping at Kings Canyon to have one part of the scenic location to go explore and have one way over to have the next area destination to go at Yosemite and Salt Lake Tahoe. So 25 minutes since the race began and progress in 73%. Still doing well, and concentration to go in motive ways in the all-wheel drive. But I bet that could be a serve as a final step for having New York Hypercar event is gonna have to survive each part of the turns in elevation when you're at California to have the stopping position to resume at Kings Canyon. Still around at the 4th gear and no sign of the update gap distance. Good eyesight on the bus. Gonna keep racing and give enough timing to be spared. Okay, there's the bridge. Now arriving in Yosemite. One of California's most finest natural park environment in the West Coast state. But very good to see some all kinds of best environmental locations in California is very much more best of popularity like El Capitan, Yosemite, and Salt Lake Tahoe. But other kinds of forest environment location is still around to be in the state of the West, but still have a lot of good favor to be in the Cali state. 77% in the progression, so it'll have to go exactly to be on a total time in 27 minutes. But all I can say is, it'll have to be having one achievement after passing one event is now going coast to coast. But seems like it because it'll have to be putting up to have that video segment to be saved or spared. Okay, going back to be on a darker and bring back into the light. Okay, 30 seconds on the last update in the gap. So gonna have to take the left turn to go and proceed at the Yosemite Valley. That's where I'm going to. Going hill climb, then braking, and it's about to get much more foggy out there. In about 11 miles to go to Gold County, because the sign that you might need to keep a good eyes out to see it. So there's the Salt Lake Tahoe Forest, just to be arriving on the next area location. No sign of traffic cars here, and we're still all good. Okay, here comes the roller coaster. This is definitely like the mountain pass on the consecutive hairpins, and that will be doing one part of the hairpin turn. So progression at 81%. Still at the late afternoon time. Well, always gonna have to keep a good reminder handling check to stay in a good position when you're on first. Okay, going back at Yosemite, and here it is, just to be passed by Scenic in a second ago before we're about to go down. It's about to get electrifying to stay on the pace. Checkpoint going proceed, and go for the next route to have the bridge. Okay, gonna check again. Looks like third place is now yet to be catch up onto the second place driver. They're about to go at it and keep up the good pace. Such a lovely place to be in Yosemite, California. The Rocky Mountains, the forest, and the hills is very much more magnificent that everybody really love to have a good place to be here to go explore. So looks like it's 30 minutes. You'll have to take 10 minutes to go on novice stage level when you're gonna have to do a pro level at it. But it's about to get much more faster, like having a good time to go on the roller coaster. Whoa man, that is so very much more safe distance, because that could be a very much more fine hobby activity that I just earned. Thank you, hobbies, and you just definitely saved my rep. So that's how each part of the activity that you might need to go for any free challenges that you're gonna have to take a dare. But still, hobbies is still yet to be available to have some main options that you might need to go at it during each part of any events on disciplines. But gonna have to heads up, gonna have to zoom out and back in to be on the normal GPS. Cruising around in Yosemite and follow the route to have the next destination is going to be having one pass by to be at Sacramento before San Francisco is going to be at the finish line to have a few more percentage to go remaining to be stopped at least in 12%. In about a few more miles to be arriving in Central Valley before moving up onto Sacramento. But the speed, concentration, and patience to see some traffic cars are yet to be coming around to be on the main steady up notice. Okay, looks like so long Yosemite and entered Central Valley. Whew. A bit close call. Definitely that just almost to have one scratch on the Debo. Okay, so gonna have to take 9% remaining. Still around in Central Valley. Okay, the checkpoint is going to be pinpointed to be at Sacramento. So it's 43 seconds last update on the gap, but it'll have to go on into session to be serpentine to be separate anywhere to choose on any position as you can. But time to go on alternative route. But don't worry, any kinds of position when you're at Sacramento to be cruising around and stay focused on the checkpoint as your main objective. But I'm not going one way. I'm just gonna have to go the right way to be proceed. Okay, a bit more close, but talk about to have the blue line is gonna have to be doing a quick shortcut to go around. Okay, on the final leg, after leaving Sacramento, we're about to go finish line to be at San Francisco in about 2 checkpoints remaining. This one is going to be the only second one left, as we're about to go over to be at the Golden Gate Bridge. Total time ever since the race began in 34 minutes is going to be a bit more longer to be as a novice level stage player. Gonna have to go for it and keep a good faster pace to be all the way and make your way onto the Golden Gate Bridge at the finish line. So right past at the Giants racetrack on the left and keep going forward onto the last stretch. Gonna kick it to 11 and go up in around 250 miles per hour. Okay, 1% to go. And made it on time of the arrival destination. Yes! So far so good, because average time in 35 minutes, 37 seconds around on each decimal is definitely where you deserve to have one achievement to go coast to coast. From the East Coast to the West Coast. That's how you guys might have to do it for only one clean racing and timing to have all blue parts to be earned to be received. Whew. What a tough day, you guys. What a fantastic tough day indeed. But I cannot believe it after having a few months later until the current update is putting up to have some icons is about to be a yet more different this time. Well, I cannot believe it. This is going to be having a lot of more tough endurance to go around on each part of the places. So, throughout each part of the line without having a full duration replay, but this may be going a bit much more longer out there to have all kinds of different events is now being changed up differently from the previous update. But yet, more events are about to go on full expansion as I'm about to be ready to wrap this up and continue on in part 55. A long trip is doing a job well done, folks, because farming work is going to be a bit more hard work that you might need to go faster and beat the record by exactly in under 30 minutes. For most of it, because under 20 minutes is going to be a bit more challenging to go faster by over 20 minutes is now being led by DodgerBot is becoming most insane record of all time in the Crew 2 has gotten closer than 20 seconds behind. So gonna have to be ready up and go forward to be entered on the US Speed Tour West Edition. So thank you for enjoying watching the video in the Crew 2, folks. I hope you enjoyed. Just go subscribe to my YouTube channel for a like, comment, then click the bell for notification on upcoming content videos if you'd like to see. Don't forget to check it out on any social media platforms like DeviantArt, Instagram, Twitter, GT Planet, Discord, Patreon, and more to see for my image artwork like UDRS Insportech liveries, Vision Total Drama fan art with card liveries, whenever you're welcome at any time. I'll be seeing you guys next time and continue on in the full walkthrough in the Crew 2, and I look forward to see you again in the next video. Keep on racing, stay clean.